Hi, welcome to chapter number 6, Motivating Workers. So we're now entering a new section called People in Business. The previous section we studied about what are the factors of production, what are the types of business organization, what are the objectives that are set, and everything related to the basic overview of what a business organization is and what it aims to achieve. Now, this section focuses on everything related to individuals working in a business organization. So in chapter number 6, we study about what motivates workers and how we could motivate them. So what is motivation? Motivation is defined as the reason that makes an individual work hard. So anything that makes you get up in the morning and makes you work to achieve something is your motivation. A motivated workforce leads to higher productivity and less wastage. So when you're motivated, you are more focused and you're more efficient with the tasks at hand. This leads to higher profits. When you have less wastage, when you increase productivity, it results in better profits. So when you think about great individuals like Michael Jackson or any other footballer or celebrity or superstar or great person, they had different reasons for achieving what they had done, and they were motivated differently. Say, for example, Michael Jackson has his own motivation of making music. So a business tries to find out what makes an individual work hard. So we come up with motivation theories where experts of business studies try to develop ways in which we can motivate our employees. So Frederick Taylor is one such theorist who defined that motivation, all individuals are motivated by personal gain. So he thought that every worker will work harder when they know that their work will result in gain of wealth. So he broke down jobs into simple processes with specified time, and he saw employees as machines to complete those tasks in those specific time, and when they completed the task, they would be paid accordingly. So they would be paid according to how many times they could finish that process within the specified time. So the criticism of his way of thinking is that employees are not just motivated by wealth or financial gain. So think about yourself, or think about any individual that you know who works. Do you think that they would continue to work in a very bad environment regardless of how much they're getting paid? I don't think so. Similarly, sometimes the output produced may not be measurable in certain businesses. So Taylor tried to devise a payment plan where you pay according to the output. But this is not always possible, as in some service sector, or sometimes outputs are not quantifiable into distinguishable units. So the next theorist, Abraham Maslow, developed his own way of thinking about how we can motivate individuals. So he thought that businesses can satisfy their workforce by trying to achieve the different levels of needs of their workers. So he thought that every employee has certain needs, and these are arranged in a pyramid. So we start off with physiological needs, where every employee is motivated to work because they need food, water, warmth, rest, and some sort of basic living standard. Once these are satisfied, they're no longer motivated by this factor. They are motivated to work harder in order to achieve job security and safety from, becoming redundant. Once they achieve job security, it no longer motivates them, and they then move on to in search for um, a good working environment. So they need to have intimate relationships with individuals. They need to have friends in their workplace. Once they achieve that, they move on to esteem needs, where they need recognition from those they're working with, or from a higher body, or from any sorts of. They need to feel a sense of accomplishment, that they have achieved something through work. And then the last level is self actualization. Self actualization is very hard to reach. And once you reach, you actually fall back to the lower level, because as individuals, we've already learned that we have unlimited wants, and we as individuals are never satisfied. Similarly, there is no such thing as reaching the peak of one's potential and then just stopping there. So at this moment, your self actualization could be, or your peak that you believe you could be, is maybe getting an A star in business studies, A plus. But once you achieve A plus, you'd be thinking about, what if you receive the award for highest marks in your country? If you achieve that, you would be thinking about achieving the highest mark in the world. So the problem with this sort of thinking is that some levels may not exist for individuals. So some individuals may not search for friendship or intimate relationships in work. Rather, they would be directly searching for a sense of accomplishment. There are plenty of people who are introverted who definitely do not seek such things, and thus it does not motivate them. The other thing is, it's very difficult to identify exactly at which level your worker is at. So managers can have a difficult time trying to identify their workforce's level and how to motivate them by identifying it. So we then move on to Hirschberg's theory. So Hirschberg believed that humans had two sets of needs. He called one of those needs or factors as hygiene factors, and he called the other ones as motivators. So he believed that hygiene factors are factors that just give you job satisfaction, but it does not essentially motivate you. So he believes that you need policies and procedures, management supervision, working conditions, compensation and benefits, and job security. These are basic things that keeps you from getting dissatisfied from work. These are the things that just keep you neutral. But what really motivates you is when you get feedback and recognition, when you get more responsibility, when you're given more, delegated more work, or when you have the chance to further yourself in the career by more further training or further advanced positions, or the work itself being a very passionate thing for you. So, in order to motivate, an employee or an organization has to develop motivators rather than trying to achieve hygiene factors. So, when we talk about motivating factors, there are financial ways that we can motivate an individual. Wages is basically being paid weekly, and usually when you work overtime, you're paid in accordance to that. However, when you pay wages to employees, you have to calculate their wages on a weekly basis, which is very costly in terms of administration, because maybe the accountant or the clerk has to draw up the weekly wages, and paying them also, everything has a cost. The second thing is piece rate. Piece rate is basically payment based on output. That means that once you produce an identifiable unit of output, you'll be paid according to that unit. And sometimes say if you're supposed to produce 100 chairs in a day and you produce beyond that, you're paid a bonus for, say, 120 chairs, the 20 additional chairs. The thing is, sometimes when you have piece rate, so in terms quantity, for achieving the quantity, quality may be sacrificed. The other thing is, when machinery breakdowns happen, workers cannot produce identifiable any units, any distinguishable unit of output, and thus they might not be paid. The third option is salaries. Salaries are where you're paid monthly a fixed amount, and the standard rate is sometimes supplemented through other schemes, like you could be given where share options, or you could be given other forms of commissions or profit sharing schemes, or any performance related pay. There are non-financial reward systems where these are ways of rewarding individuals that are in the form of that are called fringe benefits. So fringe benefits basically are non-financial rewards, but they motivate you. There's some form of a reward. Like, think about getting a company car, think about providing health care for your employee, child care, free accommodation, and sometimes free trips and holidays. Then we move on into job satisfaction. Job satisfaction is the enjoyment achieved from the feeling you have when you accomplished a good job. So, in order to achieve job satisfaction, you could have three different ways. Job rotation. Job rotation is where workers swap around after doing a specific task for a specific time period. So, think about when you're working in a hotel, there would be a cashier, there would be a waiter, there could be a person working at the bar. So what would happen in this case is, maybe after waiting a table for 10 minutes or an hour, he could switch with the cashier, and the cashier could take on the role of being a waiter. So in this way, they could switch their tasks around. Job enlargement is basically when workers are handed extra tasks at a similar level. So they're not given anything too hard. They're just given something that is similar to what they're currently doing. They're given additional responsibilities. So think about a person who is performing a home delivery service, and then later he's been given a responsibility of maybe delivering to rather than from homes to retailing shops or different kind of items. Maybe he delivers pizzas. He's given responsibilities to deliver other products as well. Job enrichment is the final form, where workers are given tasks that are beyond their current capabilities. So they're given additional responsibility, and sometimes because they need this that beyond their capabilities, they need specific training for that. So think about when a receptionist is given a job of managing the finance. So clearly it's very hard for individual to draw budgets, to draw forecasting plans, to manage the day-to-day operations. And this is the the additional form of responsibilities gives her the satisfaction or enjoyment of accomplishment, because she's learning through work. The other thing that has been created to motivate groups of individuals is team working, or separate units of groups, autonomous work groups. So these are where a group of workers are given shared responsibility for a particular process or job. Then the group decides the best approach to complete the task. So they are involved in the decision making, And thus it gives them a feeling of being in control, and the control and trust that are given to them motivates them and increases job satisfaction. And because they feel that they have control, because they feel the trust, they have a greater sense of belonging from work. This kind of works in car production lines, in aircraft productions, or in places where you could create a team of staff to perform a particular task. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon.